We were starting to milk in the third rotary, and we already had 7,000 cows in milking, and 7,500 to be more precise. The milking routine is complete. Here we perform pre-dipping.
which we're talking about close to 180,000 tons of corn silage. We also add winter silages, such as ryegrass silage and wheat silage.
The feeding part, the food we deliver is given 100% in the morning. That is, it is delivered pen by pen as the cows go to milking. Then during the day, the food is pushed up during the 24 hours. The milk production, as I mentioned, we are currently averaging 41 liters. The sand beds, the sand is recycled. It undergoes a recycling process. Here we are standing in one of the sand recycling systems, which is through sand lanes by decantation.
Welcome. Today I am here in Uruguay at the best dairy farm in Latin America with Mauricio. And so I think this is the most complete and sustainable system that we and the visitors are going to see. So good morning, and please, Mauricio, it's over to you.
We are here at Estancias del Lago. Estancias del Lago is an agro-industrial company. It's much more than a dairy farm. It is an agro-industrial company, as you rightly said, sustainable. We work a lot on sustainability and circular economy. We have from the production of raw materials, that is, we produce the food that our cows receive, we transform it into milk at the dairy farm through a fairly complex process, but it is carried out very well and successfully, and then we transform it into powdered milk, which is our final product, which we export to different parts of the world. All this process, as you rightly said, is accompanied by sustainability that we seek through the use of renewable energies. All the manure, the product of the cows. There is a complete effluent treatment plant where we transform it into biogas in biodigesters, and that is consumed within the system in the powdered milk plant, in the oven and boiler of the same. At the same time, with the liquid effluent, we have the possibility of irrigating a large part of the agricultural area we have, where we increase the productivity of the crops and at the same time reduce their costs. Well, going a bit into what my topic is, which is the dairy farm, today we are milking 13,650 cows in milking, distributed in 6 milking wings, 3 rotary with 80 drops, a double 24, and 2 rotary with 50 drops. Here on the property where we are located, there are 10,000 of these cows, 10,300. And well, we have 3,300 on another farm very close to here, called El Mirador. The current production, at this moment we are around 41 liters per cow. The herd is a 100% Holstein, a very good genetic condition. That is, we have developed our own selection index through which, over the years, we have been selecting the best bulls in the market, and well, that has led us to have a herd in very good condition, especially seeking and in line with sustainability, a very strong component in terms of health and production, but especially in the production of solids, since our final objective is powdered milk. Regarding the genetic part, we are about to take a next step as well, which is genotyping our herd, 100% of the herd, which allows us to take a qualitative and quantitative leap in terms of production and care of our animals. Well, moving on to feeding, here we are in a milking corral. The diet is basically 50% forage and 50% concentrate, broadly speaking. Among the forages, we have corn silage, wheat silage, ryegrass silage, clover silage, and well, alfalfa hay are the main forages that make up the milking diets, and also sorghum silage in what is the dry cattle and our entire rearing circuit. One of the main objectives of feeding is to maximize the use of forage, which is our own production, but at the same time, the quality of the same. That is, we place a very strong emphasis on quality, which allows us the greatest performance of our animals, and obviously that is related to health and is related to using the minimum possible amount of concentrates and having a balanced cost of the diet. Well, corn silage, to give you an idea, we harvest about 150,000 tons annually and another 60,000 tons in what I mentioned of winter greens. Well, moving on to the milking circuit, we milk 3 times a day. in 3 8-hour shifts. Reproduction is annual. That is, it is constant throughout the year. That is, it is done based on fixed time, heat detection. We also use fixed time insemination protocols. Protocols either for synchronization or fertility for the animals. And well, that gives us a continuous calving throughout the year, all year round, which range between 2,300 and 2,500 births per month. That is attended 24 hours a day. In the maternity ward, we have a team that provides care 24 hours a day to treat those animals, and also the care for the newborn, which are very important, either the care for the newborn as well as the first stages of its upbringing are very important to precisely express all its genetic value, and we can have at 2 years, when they return to produce, the greatest performance from them. Well, as for the dairy farm, as I was saying, the rotary milking allows us to organize that large number of animals and at the same time employ a large number of people. That is, it is a company. Our company has 550 direct employees plus 50 seasonal people who can be covering some licenses or performing some specific tasks, plus all the contracted services that also generate an important source of labor for what is the department of Durazno here in Uruguay, where we are located. Although perhaps I am mentioning it now, and it is the beginning, that is part of the result we are achieving today is due to that human group. That is, I believe that we have the characteristic of having settled in a city that does not have a dairy culture, but we have found a population that has taken the dairy farm job as an option, the work as a trade, to learn it, and, well, that human group that we have formed over the years, which are not so many. That is, it is a fairly new company. Really today is what gives us the possibility of having very good results. At least we believe so. And in a dairy farm of these characteristics that does not have so many years, being at productive and reproductive levels of world class. My name is Mauricio Martinez. I am a veterinarian by profession. I have been working here in the company for 10 years. I started in 2014 exactly. In the month of May of June, I am completing 10 years, and well, when I started working in this complex, there were 1,000 cows, 1,200 cows in milking. In a rotary, the company already had the dairy business in a dairy farm that was called, at the time, Tambo Escuela, which is here 15 kilometers away, which is called El Mirador. And well, this project started here, with creating a larger dairy farm, and well, we had a fairly significant growth in a short time. To give you an idea, on March 8, 2017, 3 years after having joined, we were starting to milk in the third rotary, and we already had 7,000 cows in milking, and 7,500 to be more precise. Well, today we have 13,600. Obviously, in the early years, it was a more dynamic growth, and well, that was stabilizing and obviously consolidating the work teams, and at the same time, then adding quality to the processes, which is very important. Today we have a dairy farm that is fully systematized in its work. We have protocols through which we work in the different areas, be it feeding, reproduction, or milking. But yes, that the people who work have that procedure, that protocol on which we train them, on which they also know what to aim for, have clearly established objectives, and that generates a more pleasant dynamic to work. And we believe it is an important part of the results we have today. Here we are visiting a milking corral, 100% adult cows, which were just recently fed. In this establishment, we are delivering approximately 600 tons of food daily. And with the other establishment, in total, it is 800 tons of food daily in TMR format, a fully mixed ration, where 50% of the diet is forage and the rest are concentrates, basically soybean and corn derivatives. How is diet formulation done? Well, the diets, we have different diets for dry cattle, both for cows or heifers, pre-calving diets, milking diets for fresh cows, high production and low production. Diets are based on the requirements of the animals at the stage they are in. And well, daily based on production, based on what we are seeing, small adjustments can be made regarding their components, but no major variations. They are very stable. For us, it is very important, I would say fundamental, the pre-calving diet. That is dry diet, pre-calving diet, managing that transition well. Because it is what will allow the cows to express their maximum potential in the best way, obviously taking care of their health and reproductive performance. I started as a veterinarian, yes, handling the health part, fresh cows, reproductive part, milk quality. That was in 2014. In 2015, I moved to another establishment that is here, the one I mentioned, 15 kilometers away, already as the manager of that establishment. In 2016, I came back here as the manager of an area. Then, well, in 2017, I had to take care of some operations here in San Pedro. And well, currently I hold the dairy management, responsible for everything related to dairy, emphasizing that I am now somewhat more removed from the operations, but I have a great interest in that, and I am very in touch with my team. I believe one of the most important things is having been able to go through that path, the opportunity the company gave me to generate the tools to perform the role I hold today, with closeness to the people, but also with knowledge of the cause for having gone through the whole process. The team we have is very good. It has been formed here, an operational team. It is really a source of pride for me, many of my colleagues, but a pride for the company for their dedication, and the entire company has that passion for the company itself and that commitment. And well, today it is a pleasure to work here. The feeding part, the food we deliver is given 100% in the morning. That is, it is delivered pen by pen as the cows go to milking. Then during the day, the food is pushed up during the 24 hours, and they have 100% access to the feed all day. This is fundamental, especially for rumen health and to achieve maximum production potential. Among the pillars, well, I think of any dairy farm, management, feeding. We have comfort. In this region, it is a place that in winter is humid, but the summer heat can often affect. For this, we have ventilation in 100% of the barns. This is automated based on the temperature. We have sprinklers in 100% of the barns, which also work based on temperature and humidity. And the cows are comfortable throughout the year. The bedding changes a lot. Here you will see animals that have just eaten and are comfortably lying down. That is a sign of well-being. So if we see that the cow that is not eating is lying down. That is synonymous with comfort. You will see perfectly groomed bedding, which is spectacular for the animals and they enjoy it very much. The sand we use is reused, recycled. We have a sand recycling system which allows us to recondition over 90% and only have a small addition of new sand to maintain the comfort of the bedding. The barns are 250 meters long by 33 meters wide. They are 2 pens. Each side of the barn we call a pen, and they have a capacity of 368 animals per pen, so a full barn holds 736 animals. We manage occupancy so that the different categories have an appropriate occupancy, that in pre-calving we do not exceed 85%, in fresh animals also not exceeding 85%, 100% for high production animals, and the groups that are a bit older or with more days in milk we can reach a 110% occupancy. Well, regarding feeding, the routine begins. Even though the work shift starts at 7 a.m., it starts before 7. The feeding guys start with a feed reading. They go through 100% of the feeders, reading the feed levels, what we call interpreting how much feed is left, which gives us the information to see if adjustments need to be made, more, less, or maintain the feeding. So, before the start of the shift, they perform feed readings. After collecting that information, it is loaded into software. We have a feeding management software where all the data is entered and the information is sent to the mixers and the loader, which is the loading shovel. We work here in this establishment with 3 teams, 3 mixers that feed 100% of the cattle and 1 loader, a single centralized feed distribution yard. There the loads begin. We start feeding the milking animals. The animals are fed as they go to the milking parlor, group by group, and we do several controls on that feeding. First of all, weekly the dry matter of the forages is measured. Even though we have large silage piles and that allows greater stability, weekly the dry matter of all the forages is measured. Obviously, if there is any data that catches our attention and needs to be measured more frequently, it is done, so adjustments can be made based on that. We also evaluate the presentation of the feed. That is, we evaluate a lot through the Penn State box sieves the structure of the diet, always looking for a structure that is appropriate and healthy for the cows and for each category. More fibrous diets for freshly calved cows, and then we gradually reduce the forages as they go to high production. Mixing audits are done, which also consists of, even though they are long 250-meter feeders, audits are done, samples are taken along the feeder, a pool is made to measure the nutritional part, but also individually to see if the mixer is delivering the same mix and quality of feed along the feeder. We do that weekly as well. We have been spacing out the frequencies as maintenance, and work on the equipment gives us confidence we can space it out. It is one of the things we measure. Nutritionally, we also send for analyses to ensure we are not off in some starch percentage, some protein percentage, nutritionally but also economically, so the diets are as well balanced as possible. These nutritional analyses are done bi-weekly, which allows us to have very specific monitoring of the deliveries. Then, very importantly, the push-ups. This is done 24 hours a day with a tractor that pushes up 100% of the pens, and approximately every 2 hours the animals get a feed push-up. This becomes indispensable when the feed is delivered 100% in the morning, that the cows have access 100% of the day, and that maximizes dry matter intake, and that we can have the maximum possible production, but also avoid all the digestive disorders that can occur from not having access to feed in the feeder. Our daily, monthly, weekly control panel, the milk production, as I mentioned, we are currently averaging 41 liters. Days in milk of the herd, we are at 162 days in milk. Obviously, this indicates good reproduction. Our pregnancy rate has fluctuated in recent years between 27 and 30%. That is our excellence indicator. It involves both conception and detection. The truth is, we have been stable with some very good years, reaching 30%, with others very good as well, but lower, 27%. Our total cull rate is at 35%. Always the goal, something important to highlight, that 35% includes many voluntary culls, because we have very good reproduction, we have very good heifer replacements, and well, we are constantly replacing. Within that cull rate, we have a 6% adult cow mortality rate, which is low for us. It is a very good indicator. And within the sales, the main causes of sale are reproductive or low production, a mix of both their lameness and udder or mastitis problems. Those two go head to head, but they are the main 3, which I think is normal in any dairy. And, well, since we are talking about mastitis, let's talk about milk quality, which we have not commented on. Those 41 liters with 4% fat and 3.35% protein, and about 13% total solids. This is quite stable throughout the year, with a drop obviously in the hotter months, a drop that accompanies production and solids. We have below 200,000 somatic cells, which is something important for us, below 10,000 colony-forming units of bacterial count, and less than 1% of cows out of the tank due to milk discard. Well, within the system we mostly have sand beds that give the animal better comfort, and also from a health point of view, they are much safer, mainly due to the humidity of these latitudes. We also have manure beds in part of the herd. The sand beds, the sand is recycled, it undergoes a recycling process. Here we are standing in one of the sand recycling systems, which is through sand lanes by decantation. The sand is sedimented and washed with water, and we have a recovery rate of around 85% to 90%. As you will see, the sand comes out completely clean and in a few weeks is ready to go back to the bed. This makes it a much more sustainable system, and obviously, within the costs, it impacts very positively.
Good afternoon. I am Alexis Rinaldi, a veterinarian. I work in the agricultural and rearing and livestock area of Estancia del Lago. Well, we have a total of about 23,000 hectares in total between owned and rented land, of which 13,000 are agricultural and about 5,000 are dedicated to the livestock area. When we talk about the 13,000 agricultural hectares, today 3,000 are under irrigation, in which we have about 2,000 hectares where we do fertigation, using the dairy's own effluent, which gives us an increase in production by using that product as fertilizer. And there, we can close the entire circular economy part of the system. Today, we produce about 5,500 hectares of corn silage, which is our main feed. Here we have one of them behind us. We place a lot of emphasis on the quality of that silage, especially at harvest time, between 35 and 40% dry matter, with starch close to 35% as well. It's important there, during the campaign, to be on top of the crops, especially to have the optimal harvest time, and especially the installed capacity to harvest those 5,400 hectares in time and form, which we're talking about close to 180,000 tons of corn silage. We also add winter silages, such as ryegrass silage and wheat silage. There is also an emphasis on the digestibility of the fiber and the cutting time of the ryegrass silage, and well, all that is also important, which goes towards costs. We weigh 100% of the harvested production and also measure, which is very important, and we have been working quite a bit on the shrinkage of the silages, today being below 10% real, from what comes out of the field to what the cows consume. That is, on the one hand, the agricultural part. We also have the livestock part, which started some time ago, taking advantage of the lowlands where agriculture was not present. Today we have about 5,000 heads of beef breeds, in which we do rearing and finishing in feedlot of 80% of those 5,000 heads per year. And as another secondary sector, in the dairy we have the production of male Holstein calves. Today we produce about 6,600 animals, sales of 600 calves per month. They are 10-month-old calves, in which there are agreements with different slaughterhouses, and this is all done at the feedlot and corral level. Today, what we are also trying to do in the dairy is to orient towards the production of beef breeds and improve that final product, which gives us a constant outflow, and I think that greatly values the beef system, having the same product during the 365 days of the year on the shelf. And speaking a bit more also about dairy production, but in the rearing area, today we have about 11,000 heads in rearing, in which today we are inseminating. Our insemination weight is 385 kilos, 12 months old, and weight at calving about 620 kilos at calving.
Here we are in the milking parlor at the main San Pedro dairy, where we have 2 rotary parlors with 80 stalls. The milking routine is complete. Here we perform pre-dipping. When the cows enter the rotary, we strip the first streams, which are part for stimulation and also for mastitis detection. This is done in all 3 milking shifts throughout the day. Then drying with reusable towels. We have washing machines and dryers to be able to reuse them. Then we have the attachment, the post-dipping, and that would complete the routine. We milk approximately 470, 480 cows per hour in this parlor. The duration of the carousel round is about 9.5 minutes, so we have about 5 seconds of work with each cow.